So what actions are climate campers planning to take this week? The answer is all three.
You're watching The Right Stuff live on 5 this Thursday morning with me, Matthew Wright, and them, Connie Hutt, Ed Vasey MP and Aggie McKenzie. But first, and we've already started arguing in the audience, which is great, during the break, do you support this climate camp that sprang up in Blackheath, South East London, yesterday afternoon? Around 1,000 activists pitched tents, ready for a week of direct action in the capital, and to attend training sessions to ready campaigners for future protests, including, apparently, a planned attack on a major power station. Over the next 7 days or so, they want to disrupt around a dozen companies and government departments they've dubbed climate criminals, not doing enough to halt global warming. We're talking, as we just heard during the break, occupying buildings, noisy protests and so on, although I think it all seemed very, very peaceful yesterday indeed. Hand on heart, I quite fancy a spell there myself. This is the fourth climate camp in Britain. Previous gatherings at the Drax Power Station in Yorkshire in 2006, Heathrow Airport 2007, and then Kingsnorth Power Station, Kent, last year, all ended in mass confrontation with the police. But after the, well, frankly, disgraceful behaviour of some of the police at the G20 protests in April, it seems coppers have been keeping a very low profile this time. So, what do you make of it? What I really want to get to is, do you feel these 1,000 protesters are representing you? That they're campaigning on behalf of your children and your children's children? Maybe on behalf of all of us? Or do you see a load of middle-class, self-righteous, holier-than-thou students with nothing better to do than get up everyone else's noses, Aggie?
Well, I was a student in the 70s and I liked nothing better than a good demonstration. And then, of course, your friend...
Aggie.
All right. That's right. Just, you know, it's great to be able to have a voice and do things and feel like you're making a difference. And then, with the Thatcher years, everyone sort of... all the students ended up in suits and doing business degrees and essentially nothing was happening politically, it felt. And now students are being accused all the time of being apathetic. And quite honestly, I think it's really refreshing that this is happening.
Do you feel they're out there doing a bit for you?
Yeah, I do. I'm so glad, because, you know, I'm far too old and jaded to be out there with them. And quite honestly, I'm, you know, it's too wet as well and grim. So I'm really, really pleased that that these people are staging this. Well, I hope it's going to be a peaceful protest. I don't know whether it will be, because it's quite radical what some of the things that they want to do. Yes, but I think all power to their elbows, definitely. What
about you, Connie? Do you wish you were there? Do you feel that you don't need to be there because there are people there fighting your corner, fighting for your bit of the planet?
I don't wish to be there. I think I agree with Aggie. I might have wished to be there once upon a time, but it's nice to have them there doing their bit for the rest of us that are too lazy, that don't want to.
So you do feel that they're acting on your behalf?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, I don't know what their little plan of action is yet. It depends on how disruptive and how... But in a way, the test is whether companies would ever listen to them, or, you know, they've got ideas like gluing themselves to buildings and forcing their way into offices, and so it's all this sort of... and the power station that you mentioned. Yeah. It all kind of depends on the action they actually take, because this is like their training camp, isn't it, to get them ready for all their missions. On whether I approve or disapprove. But I do think if, you know, they're getting a lot of... We're talking about it now. It is definitely raising awareness. And so, in a way, that alone is a good thing.
Now, Ed, earlier you were asking if you could borrow my tent so you could get down there.
And tell these people what I think of them.
Go on.
I find these people intensely annoying, and I cannot believe Aggie and Connie have fallen for these pseudo-middle-class... You were right, middle-class, in their school, mung bean eating. They're absolutely... They keep climbing up my power station. We've got a lovely power station in Didcot. They keep climbing up the chimney. It's an absolute nightmare. And you know what really annoys me is if you did an analysis of their lifestyle, you know, let's organise our secret protest. Oh, we'll use a mobile phone. Well, I wonder how you got that. Possibly from lots of different minerals all over the world that have been brought in to make this mobile phone. Perhaps it's powered by the electricity generated by the very power station whose chimney you are about to climb up. Oh, that little building you're building at your climate camp, you arrived on a huge articulated lorry.
I take it you don't feel they're representing...
environmentally friendly that was.
They're not representing
how
you, then.
You lead your life as an environmentalist. You know, I bet you use a mobile phone, you drive a car, you do this, you do that, and then you have a week off to protest and show people you are absolutely...
They're not saying ban electricity. They're just saying be responsible.
Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
I'm very in favour of strong environmental policies, but I think we've got to be... we've got to be honest about this. You know, I think, for example, you know, we should have nuclear power stations. You know, I think that's absolutely the right way to reduce our emissions. We've got to reduce emissions. We are suffering climate change. It is man-made. There's lots we have and must do. But I have to say, 1,000 people lodging it in Blackheath is not the way forward.
OK, to me it looked like a pop festival without Hawkwind, which means it's worth nothing. No, I joke. Let's start. Well, I really want to find out from you, do you feel these people are representing you, that they're doing something for either you or your children or your children's children? Let's see what you've got to say. Kirsty.
We have Amy on line 1.
Amy, good morning. Morning, Amy. You see, her wind-up environmentally friendly phone has just run out of power.
She's talking through one of those tin cans.
We'll try and get Amy back in the meantime.
We've got Terry, and he's on line 2.
Terry, good morning.
Good morning, Matthew.
Do you wish you were down there, sir?
I do indeed. I'm approaching 70 years of age.
Right.
And in 1972, I led a campaign in Oxford Street, and we closed off Oxford Street to traffic. I organised it with a chap called Peter Hain. I don't know what happened to him. But we were members of the Young Liberals at the time. And
he never went anywhere.
Terry,
Peter Hain never amounted to anything after that.
Sorry, Terry.
Well, he lost his Liberal credentials, I'm afraid.
You closed down Oxford Street, but why? Why?
We put a chain across Oxford Street.
Why?
And sealed the road.
Why? Why did you close it?
To stop traffic going down Oxford Street. And, of course, now only buses and taxis are allowed in Oxford Street. We wanted it pedestrianised. This was... 36 years ago.
OK. And it isn't pedestrianised, so...
Well, we're halfway there. We've got the only public transport is allowed down there now.
OK.
And, but...
you cannot move in Oxford Street. Oh, you cannot move in Oxford Street. It's an absolute nightmare.
If it was vehicles with only one person in.
OK, anyway...
I just want to get this off my chest.
OK, go on.
Terry, I just think ringing up to tell us about a demo you did in the 1970s to get Oxford Street pedestrianised, I'm beginning to have sympathy for the climate camp protesters now. It's hardly, it's hardly the kind of,
Yes.
let's march to pedestrianise Oxford Street.
We thought you were slightly left.
We want some war stories.
We were wrong. Terry, do you think...
For the environment. The environment is ours and our children. It's up to us. And although I'm now a pensioner, I try to do my bit.
Right.
And your sad old Tory needs to get out a bit.
I'm going out with a bang. This is what we need, a good old argument.
And get a life.
All right. Now, Terry. If the environment matters so much to so many people, and I'm thinking primarily of all the parents I know with their little children who force-feed them nothing but carrots these days rather than lovely chocolate and fizzy pop, if it matters so much to all of us, how come there's just 1,000 people there?
Well, that's the start. That's spreading the word. I am sure there are thousands more who support them. I'm absolutely convinced. They are the ones, the activists, who for all sorts of reasons, are able to take the week off to go there. But, they are supported by thousands and thousands of other people throughout the country.
OK, I hope you're right, Terry. Thank you. Let's have another.
On line 1, we have Darren, and he's in London.
Darren, good morning.
Good morning, how are you?
I'm very well. Are you tempted to go down there, Darren?
I am. I think they should be supported. I think everyone in South East London should get down there and support them.
OK, why?
Well, I worked with a group, a residence group called Fight the Flight, and the expansion of London City Airport is going to blight South East London. It already blights South East London and one of the poorest communities. We've been involved with dealing with Newham Council, who are just absolutely useless and just do not care. The effects that the pollution...
Do you take holidays abroad, Darren?
Yes, I do. I'm not anti-aviation. I just think that everything in moderation. We cannot just keep taking flights. Maybe take one flight a year, and that's it. That's what we're allowed. Nobody's saying, stop all flights, close airports. What we're saying is, let's do it in moderation. Let's work together.
I'll try and be serious for a moment, Darren, because I think what annoys me about the climate protests is it's a lot of posturing. You're right, Newham Council may not be listening to you, but, for example, we've changed our policy to say we're against a third runway at Heathrow. And I think there is
quite controversially within the ranks
quite
of the Tories,
controversially,
because it could be damaging for business.
And there is a democratic process, and I know that politics is not held in the highest repute at the moment. But, for example, I was being rude to Terry, and I apologise, but it strikes me, if you want to pedestrianise Oxford Street, there are ways and means. There's a council called Westminster Council.
And if you want to make big business turn off their lights in the evening so we don't have to look at buildings glowing at night when no one's in there bar one cleaner, you know, and you think, well, I've been hearing this argument for 2 or 3 years now, I've made a film about it. Had the big buildings in London switched their lights off? No. So, you know, they're continuing to just, you know, literally...
Yeah, but, OK, if you go and glue their front doors shut, is that going to make them turn their lights off?
Worked in the past.
Yeah, of course, and protests haven't worked in the past. And, you know, I think people feel very let down over the Iraq War because 2 million people marched in the streets against it, so it can be very frustrating. And I do support people's right to demonstrate. I think it's a disgrace the way terrorism legislation is used to stop people demonstrating in and around Whitehall. But I just think a lot of what is happening in the climate camp is posturing, and there are ways and means of getting your message across which don't involve those kind of things.
We shall see. We shall see. Thank you for your calls on that.